So when we left, Terrence MacSweeney had been advised he was going to be remanded into custody to think about things. But Alfred Smalls and Tommy O'Riordan, or Thomas O'Riordan, depending on how well you value that young man,
Right.
were released on their own recognizance. So what this ends up meaning is that the police still have to ferry you home, or ferry them home.
I
It ends
gotcha.
up with
Okay.
quite an amount of waiting.
Hmm.
So they did not bring a paddy wagon or anything like that. So this ends up with Terrence being informed of his rights, being placed in handcuffs,
Yeah, that is necessary. Yeah. Um,
placed in the back of the car, and a large, doughy officer sitting with him in the car.
in the back, or
The officer's in the front.
oh, he's officers in the front.
And they figure out how to get dogs down in the caves, and there's lots of searching, and eventually someone from a government department shows up, and they go in with survey equipment and land surveyors and things like that. It's quite a extensive operation. A lot of waiting in the back of the car.
Mm-hmm.
For
I'm just mentally taking notes, for my upcoming story. I can't really reach my pad with it. I'm trying to see if I can maybe. You cold? A little cold. What'd you do wrong to get this duty?
I talked to a reporter.
Yeah, don't want to do that. Don't want to do that.
No, sir, I do not.
It's okay. I won't quote you. I'm not really interested in this. Talk about it anyway. How's the coffee down at the station? Decent?
I cannot complain about any of the services provided for me by the good city of Boston. This city is my home. It fills me with joy.
I can see it rolling off you. I kind of like it here too. And so I'm just kind of kicking back at this point. Like, this is, irritated. Rather get on with this. Clearly, this guy is probably not excited to be sitting here with me any more than I'm going to be sitting here with him.
He's almost beatific in his composure. If he were carved out of jade,
all right,
and sitting in a Chinatown restaurant, he would fit right in. But he just has his just hands resting on his knees. He's just comfortable. He's not agitated. Every once in a while, a bird twitters in the forest.
hey, so
Snow continues to melt.
I'm gonna write a human interest story sometime. What makes somebody become a police officer? What made you turn that line of work?
A deep-seated desire to serve and protect.
Okay. What did you do before this?
Served in the military.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your service. Appreciate it. Ah, got it.
Several hours later,
Yeah.
Washburn arrives, climbs into the back with you, taps the officer on the shoulder, says, "This investigation is going to take quite some time."
We staying here, Lieutenant? Or are we going to the station?
So the officer fires up the car, and you slowly make your way out of farm territory and back into the city.
Oh, thank God.
Washburn kind of leans back in the seat, pulls his hat down.
No. You look tired. I'm tired. We're probably not going to be chums.
Oh, you can talk all you want. I'm listening. I'm just resting my eyes.
Burning the midnight oil a lot? So you're going to ask me questions officially down at the station, or how are we doing this?
Yes. I mean, it may take some time to get to you. We have numerous complaints to process. It's been a busy day at the station, so we may be sitting and holding for quite some time.
Quite some time, like hours, days? What are we talking here?
Well, I'm not a prognosticator, and I try not to predict how the tides and torments of daily life might wear upon the working man's soul. I just go where the job takes me.
Took you to some interesting places lately, hasn't it?
Well, I think you'd know more about that than I would, though not more than I should.
Listen, Lieutenant, I'll sing like a canary. I've got nothing to hide. That's what they say, right? Sing like a canary?
Yeah, the hat's moved aside, and he shoots you a look. For someone who has nothing to hide, you've been working very hard to hide it for hours.
Listen, I'm a reporter. It takes time to build a story. It takes time to build a story. And to be honest with you, most of the stuff, you wouldn't believe it. But I'll tell you what, we get down to the station. If it's possible, if I can get a cup of coffee, something to warm me up, you and I could sit down, bring a big pad of paper, and avoid the temptation to interrupt me every once in a while saying, "Do you really mean to say that?" Trust me, I do. You saw the foot, right? You did mention the foot.
I did.
Yeah. Okay. So I might as well tell you what I know. But stop for a second. I don't know what the hell I know. I could tell you what I've seen. I don't know what the hell to believe.
All right. They pulled into the station. If you're honest with me, and at this point, MacSweeney, I'll know. If you're honest with me, we'll skip booking. If you're even thinking about doing another song and dance, like every other story you've told me today, you're going in the slammer.
Okay.
So what'll it be?
Sure, I'll tell you what I know. I'll be straight with you.
So he thanks the officer. The officer trundles off, wrapped in his state of calm.
I envy that guy.
What? Washburn watches him go. Then he uncuffs you and he says, drinkable coffee is over here. And he
Thanks.
leads you out of the station toward a diner.
Okay. A diner. All right. We should sit away from people.
So he was heading toward the counter and then starts heading toward a booth.
Yeah.
And it's getting quite late. So there are a few late diners, traveling salesmen, that type. Place is pretty clean. Tables have that greasy feel that never seems to go from the table surface.
Yeah.
And the waitress must be near the end of her shift. I mean, you can see the iron creases, but there's just kind of a rumpled look to the apron, a wilted look to her hair, and that defeated look in her eye. But she bolsters herself, comes over, pours cups of coffee, and asks if there'll be anything to eat.
Gosh, this time I'm broke.
Do you know how much thin mints you want?
This time at that point I'm broke. So I just kind of look at Washburn.
As well, I haven't eaten all day. So just points, I'll have the special. She says, okay, Lieutenant. And then she looks from him to you, from him to you. You heard him. He's broke. I'm already buying him coffee. I have to buy him food too. She goes, Lieutenant. There's a long pause.
Over the counter. How about a corn muffin, Washburn? I'll pay you back.
Bring him the breakfast special.
Thanks, Lieutenant. I appreciate it. Thank you, miss.
Don't thank me until after you've eaten it.
All righty. So I guess I'll start at the beginning. Or
it's a good place to start.
All right.
He
So
takes out his notebook and he's referring to your previous statements as you talk.
November 1931 is kind to few, least of all the little guys caught between the cold shore line, the crummy bread line, and the frontline violence of mobsters and G-men. Every day, the news is so bad that people don't even want to line their clothes or shoes with the papers that report it. But the chill talks them into it. Maybe, if they live one more day, it might be work. Although the suffering and the violence are getting worse every day, the papers take any opportunity to write about something else. Scandals, gangsters, socialists and socialites. Hundreds of small fry jump or get jumped every night. But if one rich guy stumbles,
So, gosh, what day is it now? How many days has it been? 3? 2, 3 days since my editor called me. Yeah, so yeah, it seems like forever. My editor calls me. He wants a story. He wants a story. Those books that got stolen from the auction house real recently. Big hubbub about that. People were talking about that. I don't know anything about that. I'm friends with Eddie Driscoll, confidential investigator. Been friends with him for a long time. And so my editor says, you know what? Go see what he knows. He's in with the Gavigans. Maybe he knows something.
I need to stop you here for a moment.
Yeah.
Mr. Edward Driscoll, confidential investigator, as you call him, Eddie, as you call him, was delivered to the hospital in a concussed condition, dropped off there by one young man in his 20s, late teens, under the very suspicious name of John Smith.
John Smith.
Now, given the description of John Smith, I'm assuming this was Thomas O'Riordan.
I
Would you like to
believe so.
clarify these points?
I'm guessing because he was, yeah. I didn't know what name he used, but yeah, he dropped him off, and he wasn't doing so good.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we go back to the beginning?
You can attest to the fact that after you and Mr. Smalls extricated Mr. Driscoll from the doctor's office, that you placed Mr. Driscoll in the charge of Mr. O'Riordan to take him for hospitalization.
That's right.
Okay. I'm sorry for interrupting. Please take a
No
bite of.
problem. I understand. Listen, I will. Thanks. I'm digging into this delicious special, like downing the coffee, and if I get to wait for attention, it's asking for some more very politely, but. And I get it. I understand. I ask people questions all the time when I'm taking notes. It's all right. So listen. So I go over there. I don't know what I'm going to find. I don't know what's up with Eddie. I'm outside. It's nighttime. A couple of days ago, I see a flash in his office. I don't know what it looks like. The world's biggest flashbulb went off. So.
Do you mean that in intensity, or do you mean that in color?
Intensity. It was like lightning, practically. It was bright. So I go up there. And I'm looking for Eddie. I walk in, and he's not in the front room. He's in his office, out cold. Out cold. And I bring him, get him to. He's got like got a bruise in the back of his head, like bleeding in the back of his head. Looks like he hit the wall. Looks like somebody tooled him up, and he didn't remember what happened. What's going on, Eddie? Because I was talking to Albert Gavigan. He was right here. I was like, what are you talking about? He's not here. And how long you been out, Eddie? I don't know. So I'm guessing he was out ever since that flash happened, whatever it was. And
was there a sound? Are we talking explosion?
No sound, nothing.
There's no damage in the office, as you and I both know.
Yeah, nothing. Things aren't blowing around. There's covers of a book, big old book, no pages. And what's up this? And he goes, Gavigan. He was here. He had a book. Albert, the young one. Albert's here. Now he's not here. And there's a shoe on the floor. Might be Gavigan's shoe, Ed. What's going on? And I open the door, and there's a freaking shoe in the wall. And and I know, it looks like it got plastered in there when the place was built. What's this, Eddie? I don't know. We go over to Edward Call's office. I didn't know who the hell the guy was. The consultant, Eddie calls him, We go over to that office because Eddie's banged up. I said, well, you got to go see a doctor. He goes, I don't have any money to see a doctor. Okay, fine. I'll bet you this guy's got bandages. We're there. And we want to see the other side of the wall. There's a bookcase there. Remove the bookcase. There's the other half of his freaking leg sticking out. What's up with this, Eddie? Eddie doesn't know. I don't know. It's freaky.
Just as a point of order, the door to the doctor's office was unlocked.
I might have jimmied it. Yeah, I picked it. I picked it. I know how to pick a lock.
Makes enough.
I'm a reporter. Sometimes people don't always let you in every place. He was a mob. So I told you I'd be straight with you. So listen. So I'm like, Eddie, this is crazy. What gives with this? Eddie's got nothing. I'm worried about him. I call up my friend who's a photographer, said, Cal, come on down here, take a picture. Cal comes down.
Cal.
Guy didn't do anything. Callum McGinnis, photographer.
Callum McGinnis.
He's taking a bunch of, the usual mob hit photographs.
Do you know the whereabouts of Mr. McGinnis?
I haven't talked to him in at least a day and a half, maybe.
Do you have contact information for Mr. McGinnis?
Yeah, I know the number of his place, of his room and house. It's all I got it down.
Makes a note. Continue. Again, sorry for the interruption.
No problem. So I call him over. So listen, this is a great story. You got to get a picture of this. What the hell is this? Nobody's going to believe this. So he takes a picture. We get the hell out of there. We're going to drop Eddie off at the hospital. Don't stop me. Just there's this book. It didn't have any pages in it. It's got pages in it now. Not a lot. Pages in the book. These weren't here before, Eddie. What's going on? That's what I'm talking to Driscoll about, So at this point, I'm like, listen, Ed, is anybody after these books? Like, we don't know where Gavigan. I mean, I'm guessing. Okay, somebody came here, hit Gavigan, or at least cut his foot off. I mean, takes this book. Eddie's telling me that Gavigan's all in a huff about these books, having to destroy them, and all this nonsense. Okay, Eddie, any idea who else might have want these books, or like would steal something like this, or has it in for the Gavigans, or whatever? And he says, well, there's this one place down at the docks, and this new group of smugglers or whatever, people that are running something. Okay. So he gives me an address. We go down to the docks. We leave Ed in the car. We're going to take Ed to the hospital because he looks terrible. Right? And we go check out this warehouse. We get nothing with the guards, But I figure, okay, I know how to pick a lock. Maybe I'll go in through the back, take a look around, because maybe they got Gavigan there. It's going to be a big story. Was I going to call the police? Sure. I think, okay, let's see if we can find something out. Because if I don't bring my editor or something, what do I got? Nothing. You guys will tell me to go home, citizen, all this stuff. So I make the call, go look at myself. And I guess the guy's name is Morgan. That's everything I can figure out. I don't get a first name. I get an X. This letter this fellow gives me. Two fellows have tattoos all over their faces.
There is a letter.
There's a letter. I'm looking around, I'm like, gosh, I probably gave it to Smalls. I'm just checking my coat pockets to see if I actually have it, it's because it's been so crazy. I don't know who the hell has a letter at this point.
Pockets are
Yeah.
empty of a letter.
Smalls might have it. This is another place where it gets weird. So these fellas come out the back, overwhelm us with a whole bunch of thugs, and they don't kill us, but they knock us out. They do something, I don't know, chloroform, whatever the hell they use. Next thing you know, Cal and I wake up in this warehouse, no clothes, on our backs, in the middle of some kind of circles or whatever. So we're freaking out, and geez, what's going on, fella? It's wintertime. What are these guys going to do to us? What kind of freak show we gotten into? Nobody's around. We grab our clothes, but then we see there's two other guys there that look like dead. One of them looks absolutely dead, but he looks an awful lot like Mickey the Fist. Except if Mickey the Fist hasn't eaten in a long time and got even older. And then this guy sits up. And I'm trying to get him out of there. Like, okay, well, this guy, maybe one of these guys is still alive. Maybe can get him out of this place too, because God knows what these freaks are doing. He's walking to some kind of, God only knows what the heck people do overseas. Trying to get this fellow out of here. He tries to take a bite out of me. I end up pushing him off me. And so we get the hell out of there. Grab Eddie and split. Nobody chases us, nothing. And let's see. We drop Eddie off at the hospital. The first time. Not that one. God, this is complicated. Not when O'Riordan drops him off. We drop him off at the hospital. And I say, you know what? At this point, I'm looking at this book, and it's got more pages in it. I don't know anything about books like this. I think I'm losing my mind. So, you know what? I know somebody that knows about books. Somebody might know about all this kind of stuff. So I go to Smalls. This poor bastard's minding his own business, and I'm knocking on his door in the morning, telling him this crazy story.
What time in the morning?
Oh, God, 5, 7, something like that. Not like I took out a pocket watch and looked. It was early. I grabbed Smalls. I said, what do you know about these kind of things? He says, the way he is. Let me look at this. Let me look at that. And he's interested. He's interested in this book, but from a antiquarian point of view, he can tell us something about this.
Do you know the title of this book?
Oh God, it's Latin. It's he says it was something about the worm's mysteries or vermiform or something, it's Latin.
And these are the missing books from one of the missing books from the auction house. Is that what you're telling me?
I think so. Except This is ones that Albert Gavigan brought to Eddie Driscoll. I don't think Albert Gavigan stole his own book. He might have had, there might have been more than 3 books. I don't know. So we bring it over to him. We bring it over to Smalls. He's looking at it. And God, we end up getting a call, if you will. We end up getting a call from the O'Shaughnessy's. Rory comes over to visit. I think Ed call. I learned the consultant's name. Call comes over and says, "Oh, hey, I want to talk to you." They're really interested in this damn book. We don't tell them we have the book because we don't know what the hell to think. The last thing I'm going to do is tell mobsters, "Hey, I've got some stolen property, or what may be stolen property. I don't know. I don't know if they've taken Gavigan." Next thing you know, I've got this guy Morgan telling me that we're in his Jesus, and I'm looking at my shirt. I said, "You ain't gonna believe this." So I unbutton my shirt, show him what's carved on my chest.
And he makes a quick sketch.
That's what they do to me when I'm naked. Button my shirt back up. In the meantime, I've got this guy in the O'Shaughnessy's call telling me that this book is really important and all this voodoo, mumbo, jumbo, black magic, hocus pocus, end of the world. We have stuff. All this stuff I wouldn't believe for a heartbeat, except this book didn't have any goddamn pages in it. And now it's got like 100. And I don't know what the hell's going on. They tell us it's really important. They pick up Driscoll. Yeah, go ahead.
At any point prior to going to Mr. Driscoll's office, had you visited a place that sells, or at least claims to sell, alcohol or narcotics?
No.
Okay.
I don't think we went anywhere. No alcohol, no narcotics. Oh God, make this easier. And so we go. The mobsters talk to us. The O'Shaughnessy's give us this whole song and dance about stuff. Oh God, it's by this time I'm exhausted. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with all of this stuff. I'm looking up stuff in the newspaper office. I'm finding out all this stuff about this Hermetic Order of the Silver Dawn, or God knows what. And this Edward Call has all these ties to Gavigan. This has turned out to be like, oh my God, if I can write this, if I get my editor to buy this is the story of the century.
Okay.
I'm doing some research on this. I want to figure out what the hell is going on. Because ultimately, the public's got a right to know, right? And then,
as do the police, but continue.
As do the police, and that's why we're here. And God, next thing you know, geez, I ended up meeting Smalls at this diner. We had split ways. He said, "Hello, this is Tommy O'Riordan." Who the hell's Tommy O'Riordan? Oh, well, he's a nice young man that's been assigned to watch me from the O'Shaughnessy mob. It's like, where the hell's my guy? O'Riordan's telling me, well, I had a guy. We don't have a guy now. We get somebody that tries to beat me up. That's a dead ringer for Mickey the Fist, but must be one of his kids. Runs off when Smalls, of all people, accosts him and fights back. That'd be a story in itself.
I imagine.
Yeah. That'd be a story in itself. And then, I get the feeling that maybe the O'Shaughnessys are in trouble. Because this guy, he looked like an O'Shaughnessy. We've got little O'Riordan saying, "That's Mickey, that's Mickey." This guy isn't talking like he's, has anything to do with the O'Shaughnessys. I'm worried he's working for this Morgan fella at this point, because I don't know what the hell to think. Does he have one of these things on his chest? God only knows. I say, you know what? Let's go check back. I think we ought to at least warn these guys that something's up. I can't believe I'm going back to warn mobsters. Something might be up. You know what we found.
Oh,
Look at me.
and
Just look at me for a second. Those men were torn apart like you or I might tear apart a freaking chicken in the diner. A cooked chicken.
that's almost verbatim what the coroner said.
Yeah, I bet. So I'm walking in there. I don't know how I didn't lose my lunch. Or Reardon, it's like puking his guts out. And I find Driscoll. He was there. I'm looking at all the bullet holes everywhere. And all Driscoll can say is, I couldn't see it. They couldn't see it. See what?
All right, now you've got his attention.
Driscoll, he's like, I couldn't see it. I don't know why the hell it didn't kill Driscoll. It killed everybody else. Kills Call. I searched in my pockets. And I tossed the ring on the table. Yeah, I took Call's ring. I took it because of that symbol on it. Because that symbol matches everything I've seen about this Hermetic Order, the Silver Dawn crap. And why the hell is this guy, after being tragically, he loses his medical license. His life is ruined because of his association with that organization, whatever the hell it is, whatever the hell they were doing years ago, which sounds exactly like what's happening now. What people are missing. Why the hell is he still wearing this damn ring? What's he wearing that for? Why the hell is that so damn important? And what the hell tore those men apart? And I'm looking at the foot in the wall, and it's moving. And that book didn't even have any goddamn pages in it. And that's most of what I know. Oh, well, except for the part about going back to the damn farm.
So he takes out his handkerchief, he scoops up the ring, tucks it in a pocket. He's making notes, circles some things. Drink up. We're going back to Newbury Street.
Hey, I hope you're still hungry.
Why?
Because the Smalls is there. We're going to eat.
Well, you could have. Never mind.
You didn't tell me we're going there.
So he escorts you out into the street, back into the station. He briefly stops off at a disaster zone of a desk where he picks up some manila envelopes and puts them in a valise. He goes, pursuant to any conversation that includes the word fracas, this would be a valise. And then he takes you out to a pretty worn-looking automobile to drive you to Newbury Street. So, back at the Scott farm, Lieutenant Gabriel Washburn, very tired, worn out, but trying desperately to be polite. Washburn releases O'Riordan and Smalls on their own recognizance. Right? You gentlemen are free to leave, he had said. And then he kind of ceases to pay attention to them. And it's no ultimatum of don't leave town or anything like that. And there are police officers coming in and out of the area, and they're improving the rope ladder that they have put in place, which is how all of you got down here. And they're rigging up a winch so that they can lower something down, perhaps the dogs. Right? And So climbing up the rope ladder at this point is perhaps more than our antiquarian can handle.
So you want me to make a climb roll? Good
If,
keeper.
if you would.
All right. Okay. Got the old dice out here. Got some new dice at Total Con over the weekend. These are they're kind of creamsicle colored. I don't know if you can see that, but they're
See them,
whoops. Yeah, they're new. All right, so let's see. 40% climb. Ah, no. 77. So that's a resounding failure.
The officers on the scene have to get involved to help Mr. Smalls reach the surface. So with O'Riordan coming up behind and ropes and pulling, it's a very uncomfortable procedure with the ropes
Very
in.
and humiliating. Worse than the physical discomfort is the utter humiliation of being hoisted like a piano out of this predicament, with all these. I can see these guys, swearing under their breath and straining and all of this. And here's this. Yeah, this is mortifying, utterly mortifying. In fact, I don't know if you want me to make a sanity roll or for embarrassment, terminal embarrassment, or what.
No, but we'll keep it in mind.
All right. This is flooding back, memories of the playground from a long time, a life that he thought he had left behind. And, it's bringing up painful memories of always being a large kid and, all of that. So anyway, he's just mortified.
Near the top, as it's getting to its most painful point of getting up over the edge of the well, some low-voiced comment, some almost sotto voce comment, right, explodes between the teeth of a guy straining on the rope, his feet sliding across the hard-packed clay. And he said, "How did he get down there in the first place?" But then, strong and gentle hands pull you up, right? Dust you off, ask if you're okay.
I'm like President Taft in a tub. I'm just stuck. Yeah, I will. Yes, thank you for your help, gentlemen. Much appreciated.
The officer, he's vaguely familiar, might be the one who is charged with figuring out a way to get the dogs down into the caverns. Calls another officer over and instructs him to take you and Thomas O'Riordan back into town. And at that point, he takes out his own notepad and inquires, right, do you have any other residences other than Newberry Street?
Sometimes stay at my aunt's house in Rhode Island.
So he takes the address and then he inquires the same of O'Riordan. And if O'Riordan is honest with him about his addresses, who can say? But an officer will drive you back to Newberry Street or any other address that you like.
Newberry Street will do for me. Thank you.
Right. So O'Riordan stays quiet. The officer doesn't have any conversation. But that ride back into town, when you think about it, you have the taxi ride out to the farm, the Scott farm. And then you have the police ride out to the Scott farm. But the officer's question is still kind of moving around. How did he get out of the well? How did he get out of the well? How did we get back to Newberry Street? But no answers are forthcoming. The officer parks. Busy street, closed bakery. Newsboys still hawking papers. The afternoon edition has changed the headline from mob massacre to police baffled.
Washburn said, no comment, extricate, no comment, police back. Washburn said, no comment, extricate.
Can Alfred search his memory for how did we get out of there the first time? Is it, because now it's sort of, it's bothering him. I don't know if it's something that he can ponder. And
Tommy's looking at you pretty closely and says, Mr. Smalls, we should probably get off the street.
oh, of course, yes. Why don't we step inside? Yes. Go into the shop.
Four locked.
Yeah.
So O'Riordan shuts the door behind you and locks the four locks. Then there's that long flight of stairs.
Right. Why don't I fix us up something to eat, Tommy? It's been a long, trying time at the farm with the police. And he'll plod his way up the stairs, every creaking, protesting step. But his mind is 1,000 miles, well, not 1,000 miles away, perhaps a few miles away at the Scott farm. And trying to remember how in the world. So Alfred will mechanically start getting a meal together. When he's stressed, food is the answer, or at least the sugar pill, the panacea. So he'll start working on something. Canned this and that, probably.
Sure.
Put on a pot of coffee, the whole thing. So
while that's going on, Tommy has asked you, and it's kind of registered distantly, right? Do you mind if I get cleaned up?
oh, go right ahead.
So there's relaxing sounds of frying in the pan, and there's a lot of leftovers and things which suggest a pretty satisfying meal. Outside, the lights streaming through the late afternoon windows again speaks to this warming trend. The snow is melting, the streets are wet. The clean, pure water of the melted snow. It'll be muddy soon, but this is that perfect moment, where even though winter is coming full force, it's November. The melting of the snow today has that feel to it of a spring.
Time to open a
But
window. But
yeah.
Yeah.
But then on the way to the window, there's the spot and the bloodstains where Albert Gavigan lay on your floor. There's the missing blanket, the spot where the blanket should be that wrapped up Gavigan, right? The pile of hand towels to try and staunch the bleeding. But who carried him here? And in the washroom, you hear the water running. And there's a conversation. Can't make out the words, but there are two distinct voices coming from the bathroom.
Okay, that's weird. I will go to the washroom, check on the stove, quick look, make sure everything's coming along. And then 3 quick steps over to the door to the washroom, give it a light tap. Tommy, you all set in there? You okay?
Conversation stops. And, instantly O'Riordan's voice is, "Be there in a moment."
No rush. I just thought I heard something.
"What's that?"
Oh, nothing. Said I'll have some food on when you're ready, but please take your time.
"Smells good. Thank you, Mr. Smalls." And true to his word, maybe a quick towel off or something, but he comes out, the steam, billowing out of the bathroom. And he looks much better. Got the grime off his face, the resilience of the young, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll fix him up with a plate, good hefty, hearty plate with whatever hash and brown bread and beans and whatever else I could get out of a can. What it lacks in high cuisine, it will make up for in copious amounts.
Well, he tucks in like this is a spread at the Ritz. He's kind of he holds his spoon like he would when he was 2 years old, in his fist. He's just got his head lowered to his plate, and he's just shoveling it in, and about halfway through the plate, he slowly straightens up like he's remembered he's in public.
All right. Well, I will make no notice, or I will notice, but I will make an effort to, I'm not noticing. I'm actually focused on my meal. Like, I'll just be working at mine.
Now the fatigue is really starting to settle in, and the warm meal and everything's really working its magic. It's been a lot of late nights, not much sleep, incredible amounts of stress, physical activity, violence. In the comfort and peace of your home, disturbed as it is by the presence of others, there's this need to sleep. And even Tommy is starting to flag, young as he is, he's rubbing his head.
Sure. All right, I will. Tommy, it's getting late. I'm going to just wash the dishes here a little bit, and then I'm going to head off to bed. You're welcome to take the couch here.
Thanks. If you don't mind, I would.
Yeah.
Until the police have this all wrapped up and stuff, I don't want to leave you alone.
Oh, it's very kind of you. But yes, please, let's and I'll hustle about getting out some spare blankets and whatnot so that he can have a comfortable stay on the couch. Try to take off we have to take off anything that was, Gavigan was laid down. I'm not sure if he was on the floor or the couch, but
Floor.
if you might eat the floor, okay. Try to get away, make a bit of take a moment to try to wash away the blood and all that. We don't need that anymore. So get that tidied away as best we can. Get him some blankets, a pillow, so he can crash on the couch. I will pull down the Murphy bed that comes down and get that ready for me, for Alfred.
Oh, it looks
And,
very inviting.
yeah. So we'll take care of all that, and then I will. I'm not going to bring up the two voices to Tommy. I figure if he wants to talk about it, he will. It confused me. I know what I heard. I thought no, I know. I think I know what I thought I heard, but it's been a day. It's been a few days. It's not time to see how we feel in the morning, and we'll just let it be at that. And then I'll just have a good night, Thomas, and then that's it. Just getting the old jammies and then getting to bed.
Okay. It doesn't take long to fall asleep, and in the grip of slumber, you're in the caverns. And echoing through the caverns is, let's go back to Newberry Street. Let's go back to Newberry Street. And the reedy, pain-filled voice that you now know belongs to Mr. Gavigan. No hospital. No hospital. No hospital. And then the jangling of the shop bell rouses you from slumber. You're not sure if you've slept through or if it's just evening. You have no idea the time. Tommy's up on the sofa looking alert, saying, someone's at the door.
I heard that as well. All right. I'll hasten from the bed. I'll say, you stay here. And I will pad my way down the stairs in my stockinged feet to the shop, which, because the four blocks should be, in order for that bell to jangle, someone has to have gotten through those four locks, because when you open the door and it does a little ding-a-ling.
The doorbell.
It's the crank. Okay. All right. So all right, well then I will turn on a light when I get down to the shop, and I will go to the window that's next to the door, and I will kind of peek through do the old kind of peek through the two slats of the
Right.
blind.
So someone is peeking back through the slat, and over his shoulder you can see the agitated, forehead-rubbing gesture of Lieutenant Gabriel Washburn.
Smalls, it's cold. Open the door.
Oh my goodness! All right, I will. All right, hurriedly lock, and throw the door open wide. And gentlemen, please come in. Get out of the chill.
Thanks, Hal.
Standing there in my nightshirt.
Actually, Mr. Smalls, Lieutenant.
Sorry to come by so late, but I thought we should clear this up as soon as possible.
Very good.
Might want to put on some coffee, Smalls.
Oh,
Sorry, man.
very good. All right. I will. Why don't you come upstairs? There's more places to sit than here in the shop.
Washburn wipes his feet on the mat.
I do not. But then again, when have I ever?
Please come up. I'll get that coffee for you both.
Washburn has a valise with him, or perhaps a satchel, a carrying case.
All right.
So Smalls, I sung like a canary down at the station. I gave him the ring I found. I told him about everything that's happened. I told him about the letter. I thought I might have the letter that X gave us that you that mentions all of us. I'm not sure if you might have it here because Lieutenant Washburn was kind of interested in seeing that. And I don't know who's got it. I didn't have it. But yeah, I pretty much told him everything. So yeah, I think it's that time. Maybe the police can help with this more than me just getting a story. So.
Oh, very good. Of course, we are friends of the law. So, yes. Here's that coffee, and of course, you remember Mr. O'Riordan here. He's crashing on the couch here. I'll go ahead, Terrence. Sorry.
I just look longingly at the cabinet, which I will not mention, which contains the drink, which I will not ask for in the presence of the police. And then just grab a cup of coffee.
All right, I will put up the Murphy bed. I'll sort of tuck it in so the blankets don't go everywhere, but then I'll kind of push it up, give us a little more room. Drag a chair around so everybody has a place to sit. Yep. Take out the coffee pot, get that going. Get some after 8 mints, put those out on the table.
Washburn sits at the table, just puts his valise down next to him. I would like to take this threatening letter into evidence.
Oh, certainly. And I will retrieve it.
Yep, it's where you left it. Although to your discerning eye, the ink is considerably faded since last you looked at it.
All right. Won't make any mention of that. Just going to hand it over. Here you are.
He reads it. So in receipt of a letter like this, none of you considered calling the police?
Oh, well, it was such a days of commotion and high strangeness that I'm sure we would have called you at some point, but in the sort of the rush and bother of the moment, we were just too overwhelmed to do much of anything. But we were sort of caught up in the moment, if you will.
You might be surprised how often a person in my line of work hears that. Okay. So, the story has taken us to early in the morning, and Callum McGinnis, photographer, and Terrence MacSweeney, reporter, activist for truth, appears on your doorstep. Can you confirm that this happened?
Oh yes, that is true. They appeared at my doorstep.
And proceeded to relate a wild tale of abduction, nudity, uh, and ritual scarification.
It was indeed a very strange tale.
And a book brought for your examination.
Yes.
Could you describe the book?
Yes. It was a very old book entitled The Mysteries of the Worm.
That's it, the worm.
Yes, The Mysteries of the Worm. Des Vermis Mysterious. That's its Latin title. And it was, authored by someone named Ludwig Prien, who was something of a crusader monk back in the those times, the times of the Crusades, and
Do you happen
I
to
think
remember
there
which
was.
crusade?
Oh my goodness. It escapes me at the moment, but I'm sure we could look him up. But anyway, a crusading monk back in the day, and then there was I believe there was a translator or some sort of scribe who had also had actually committed the words to the book as told by uh, Ludwig Prien. Not sure if we ever got the name of the author or the scribe themselves. But yes, very curious, a book of curious properties. You would look at it at one moment and think you'd swear that it was of a certain thickness and heft. And then, another time you'd look at it, and it would be nothing but a slim tome, a little, barely more than a folio. It was almost as if play tricks on you, or uh, 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 so full of high strangeness. Truth be told, we didn't get that much of a read in with all that was going on. We had fully intended to read it cover to cover, but uh, with everything happening so quickly,
You're able to read the Latin?
uh, why, yes. In my line of work, one does come across that language with some frequency. Uh, Ancient
And
books, things.
is this particular book an example of a valuable book that collectors would pay for?
Oh yes, yes. This would be quite a find for many. Just simply a book surviving from that time. Its age alone would make it a valuable collector's item. Then you factor in its obscurity and its somewhat infamous nature, and it does become quite a prize for many a collector.
Well, continue. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, well, so lots of strange iconography, symbols, lots of occult references, things of that nature. Uh, so uh, it's somewhat of a famous work. There have been legends or stories of forgeries over the years. As any valuable book that's achieved some notoriety, there will always be those that are looking to pass off uh, fake copies. But I believe this was the genuine article.
All right. So, They arrive, they tell their strange tale. Nobody calls the police. You begin looking at this book, which begins to disturb you with its contents. And where is the connection from this discussion among three men to the Scott farm?
Let's see. Feels like so much time has passed between then and now, although it's only been a short while. Let's see. Help me out here. Do you mind if Terrence helps me fill in some gaps in my memory?
The freaking desk. You got the.
Oh yes, yes. Well, how did we've got my desk here. The desk. Oh, that's right. I have downstairs in the shop, Lieutenant. I have a desk from the Scott farm. This is not my first trip to the Scott farm. I actually went there when they were selling off lots from the farm when it was had the fire, and I picked a nice dark mahogany wood desk piece, and anyway, there was well, if you'd like to see it, it's right downstairs. But there is some scroll work carved into the desk itself, and as I recall, the book had some of the same symbols carved into or scribed into the book that were carved into the desk. And I believe that's how we made the connection to go out. Is that right, Terrence? I'm trying to remember. Is that,
Well, tell them
am I
about the
making
hermetic
that up?
order. Tell them about the hermetic order. You know, the silver
yes.
dawn, you know.
The Silver Twilight. Yes.
Yeah, they.
Well, that was. Well, that was who apparently was the. There was this fraternal organization, the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight, sort of an occult fraternity that apparently had its rituals and meetings at the Scott farm. So we actually found in the desk, giving it more attention in light of its connection, supposedly or seemingly, to the book, we did find another notebook secreted within the desk that was sort of a handbook of sorts to this fraternal organization. So there was that. And so we had that little journal, and then we have the book itself. And so we decided, well, perhaps we could make more connections about what happened on the docks and what happened with this book. And we thought, well, maybe this is all leading us to this farm. This what we thought was an abandoned farm. We thought, well, maybe there's some sort of connection there between what happened to Callum and Terrence, and then bringing the book to my attention, and then going out to the farm. And then we had this very unseemly set of events happen at the farm with that horrible cabbie who drove us out there. And
Oh yeah,
Jimmy, yes, that fellow. Because he filled our heads. As we were driving out there, he was telling all these stories about this farm and this Silver Twilight people and all this. And then, lo and behold, we get there, and he turns on us, and we ran into all that trouble. So it's quite a
All
mess.
that trouble.
Indeed.
Okay. Now, okay. Mr. Smalls, I don't want to be indelicate. But I find myself wondering, and perhaps you can help me out. And forgive me, I'm not the only one who's wondering. How did you get down into the caverns and get back out again?
You know, Lieutenant, I've been giving myself that same line of questioning. I do remember getting down. Gravity helped there. I remember Terrence had gone down first, and then he got stuck down there, and so I went down trying to. I tried to help because Terrence, you started to climb. You had a bit of a fall, and
A bit.
yes, yes, yes. And so then and then water started pouring in. You were down there, and you fell, and water started pouring in, and so you were in a real spot. So I believe that in all of the excitement, I, I believe I climbed down after you.
Oh, you tried.
Tried, yeah, tried indeed, and then fell down there, and so that's how we got down.
That fall could kill.
Indeed,
No,
indeed.
no, no, Small. You had that. That Morgan helped you down. You
Oh,
remember that?
right.
You almost killed. You almost fell on me. Yeah, that Morgan showed up.
Well, that's right. That fellow boss Morgan, he somehow he helped me down. His voice was very soothing, almost
Somehow he
hypnotic.
helped you down. Ropes.
Yeah. No, no, nothing like that. I remember listening to his voice, and the next thing I know, I was at the bottom. So I had assumed that I had made it down. Maybe his voice, maybe it was some sort of auditory, uh, you know, uh, uh, I've heard certain alienists can put a person almost into a trance-like state. Perhaps his mind working on mine allowed me to get down with more agility and dexterity than I normally would be able to accomplish. Honestly, I'm not quite sure, but you're right, Terrence. I had almost put him out of my mind. Um,
What?
well, it was
God.
all very traumatic.
Well, yeah. There's that.
And the cab driver drives you out there
Yes,
and departs with Morgan.
Yeah, they
yes.
went into the caves.
And you left with Gavigan,
Yeah.
very injured. How did you get to Newbury Street and why did you go there?
Oh my goodness.
Now, I trust that for the most part you've been trying to tell me the truth, but let me tell you that on this point we have officers canvassing the route.
I'm trying to think now. How did we get back to Newbury Street? There's this terrible, terrible holes in my memory. I'm not trying to play games with you, Detective. Um, I just remember being back here. Uh, but I remember that we were down there. Gavigan was badly hurt, and then we were back here. Uh, Tommy, do you remember exactly what occurred? Maybe Tommy, with you're younger. Maybe you have a better your mind could recall better than my old adult brain.
Could you gentlemen both roll listen?
That's a 48. I'm not quite sure.
My new dice are ice cold. 95.
I'm not certain how to do listen, but I have a 48.
It's alphabetical. It's there under L. Look L-ward.
Yes, I'm going to look into the skill section because that's not something I. That sounds like a negative.
Okay. So the question is asked to Tommy, who has been maybe lulled into sleep by the recounting of the night's events, and he's still sitting on the comfortable sofa, and he's full of beans, wrapped up in a blanket. So he's been drifting off. So, at the sound of his name, he kind of starts a little bit, and his face is working, and then he says, "Well, didn't we flag a car?" And the old Mr. Gavigan didn't want to go to the hospital.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
So Washburn's just taking notes and is kind of surveying the three of you.
Jeez, with Cowrie Flag, it's just, God, you're lucky to get out of there alive.
Well, that's it. It was a most traumatic evening. Wondering if somehow our minds have blocked out something. We must have. Not to be indelicate myself, but I'm a very large man, and physical feats are often beyond me. I know I had to be helped out by your fine officers earlier this evening. So, how we got out of there, and not only out of there, away from the farm and back into town, it's like my mind has been wiped of whatever. Well, I usually pride myself on my memory, my intellectual abilities, but I'm not sure. Lieutenant,
Don't worry.
I can't.
Don't worry, Mr. Smalls. Now, gentlemen, I feel for the most part you have approached my questions with a certain amount of candor. I'm going to show you something, a piece of evidence. I'm showing it to you for my own reasons, and I may, if questioned, deny that I showed it to you. Leans down, unsnaps his valise, he opens it up, and brings out a manila folder.
I know all about denial, Lieutenant.
And he slides out some large photographic prints. Among the remains, we found the photographic equipment of Callum McGinnis, which, according to your story, Dr. Call had sequestered.
Yeah.
I had them developed. I'm not sure what he was taking the picture of, and I would very much like your thoughts on it.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to see what he got.
He's looking at it himself. Takes a deep breath And he puts it face down on the low table and slides it in your direction and then leans back. Just a white photographic paper. No.
Grab it. I'm flipping it right over.
In this shot is a drift of white dots like the starry sky. And there is the blurred, stretched, translucent form, blurred in a photographic sense.
Yeah.
Of the man that you know is Albert Gavigan. His face is a twisted, distorted mask of terror, and both hands are reaching out, right, under or in this area. You can see scattered pages, right, of paper or something like that. You can clearly see the missing finger, a place where the finger is missing. The other hand is pulling and distorting and stretching you, Terrence, being dragged into the frame, right? Or dropping down into eternity. But worse is the image of the shadowy thing from the cavern, which in turn is pulling Gavigan into the abyss. Yes. Roll those cold dice, gentlemen.
58.
I failed. 64 off of 60.
The sudden return of memory, right? The flooding of your nostrils with the smell of it as it extruded into your presence in the caverns, the sound that it made as it dragged its way across the rocky floor. These memories come back sharper than any memories you have of leaving that place, of arriving back at Newberry Street, conversations about the book. These have already begun to fade and distort and twist, but these pictures are like a physical impact, and all your senses are alight with the memory of this creature. Stomachs turn, right? Eyes burn, cold shock, right? As if water's been thrown on your skin.
Jeez, it's very intrusive. And if I can, I'm going to turn the picture over.
And Washburn's reaching out to do that very thing. And
I turn it over, and
so,
I stand up. I'm not. I don't say a thing. I walk over to the cabinet. I pull out the bottle of whiskey. I pour my coffee into the sink, and I pour whiskey right in front of the lieutenant. What do you see when you look at that picture, Lieutenant? Do you see it? Does it pull in you? Do you feel that?
No, I don't feel it.
Jesus, son of a bitch. Since I went, and I just downed the probably, a good gulp of whiskey. Since I went to Driscoll's office that first night, I kept hearing this step, these sounds of like a guy in agony and or just the back of my head. Couldn't even tell if it was real. And like a huge step drag, something. Like a hallucination. Just like, what the hell am I hearing? I kept hearing that. And when we're down, we went down that well. And that Morgenfeld made me swim through the freaking tunnel to go pull this lever, open the thing, get the water out of there so he could come down. Came down with Smalls, and I sit back and I'm kind of looking, almost turn the picture over again, but not, just kind of, Gavigan wasn't down there with them. They didn't bring him. He appeared at a thin freaking air. And I don't know what the hell those guys were shooting at when it tore them apart. But I didn't see the thing that was dragging Gavigan. I didn't see a thing that dragged him out of thin air like he'd just come out of a meat grinder and got put together in front of my eyes. I didn't see whatever the hell that thing was that was dragging. I could see it here. And all I know that Callan was trying to take pictures of was that damn foot in the wall. Because nobody would believe it. And this is what he got?
It was the
God,
only plate from that scene, yes.
This is what he got. And I turned it back over. I just look at it. This is what he got.
So he reaches out and he reclaims the picture. Puts it back in the envelope, puts it back in the valise, locks the valise.
You know what, Lieutenant? I'm not going to say that you were in the O'Shaughnessy's pockets. There's got to be some good cops around. But I remember when the O'Shaughnessy's came here to pick us up, I tried to get help from an officer. Another fine Irishman like myself, like the O'Shaughnessy's, I'm pretty sure he would have let them kill us right there in the street and walked away.
Gavigan.
I know that. No, I don't know. O'Malley or something. God only knows. I suppose I'd recognize him if I saw him. But I know how much power those guys had. And they were scared to death of whatever the hell this is. And they should have been. I don't know what the hell that fellow's Morgan's got to do with all this. But I don't care how many guns you guys have. I don't care how many feds you call in here. What are you going to do with that? What do you do with that when it comes looking for you? You going to arrest it? You going to shoot it? I don't know what the hell I'm talking about anymore, Smalls. God, if I had just not answered my editor's call that day.
Terrence,
What
Terrence,
the hell was I thinking?
Terrence, it's I'll give you a little brotherly pat on the shoulder. Lieutenant, if Terrence is a crazy man, then I am crazy too. Because I can verify everything that he has told us just now is true. Whatever that thing is that was captured on that photographic plate, it was not visible when we were down there. Something with the chemicals on that photographic plate have allowed something to be seen that normally does not, is not normally able to be seen, but it's very real. Terrence is telling the truth, and he's not hallucinating when he said he heard those sounds, and that Mr. Gavigan was brought to that place, dragged, poor man that he was, dragged to that spot by that thing. Now, I am a man of science. I'm a man of learning. I'm not a man of superstition. That said, our sciences have not caught up yet with whatever is pictured on that plate.
You're here.
doesn't mean that it wasn't there. It was there. And it did terrible things to people.
I suppose. What do you think? You think if they put developing fluid on that thing, it would show up? You think we could see it that way? I don't think I want to, but
I don't know. I don't want to see it. I don't know. I'm just saying that perhaps the chemistry of whatever goes on when I'm not a photographer, but
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
all right.
Gentlemen, I'm telling you this now, and again, I'll deny it. You're right. There are a lot of dirty cops. We don't all know who to trust. You're right. There are things in the world that we do not understand. Without this picture, anyone listening to your stories can only come to one conclusion. And that is that you belong in the asylum. Without this picture, that would be your fate. And without my understanding of your story and this picture, I'm going to leave now, having been told stories that I cannot currently confirm or deny, with a reporter with a history of being difficult with the police, and an otherwise upstanding citizen who's fallen on hard times. There may be suspicion coming your way about the theft of Gavigan's books. There may be suspicion coming your way about the abduction and harm of Albert Gavigan. Maybe the best help I'll be able to give you is ensuring you wind up in the asylum rather than in prison. But your best hope is to help me get to the bottom of things. This letter says that you are his property. Your story tells me there's an interest in the Scott farm. The Scott farm tells me there's an interest in what remains of the Hermetic Order of Silver Twilight. Don't involve my name, or I'll have to protect myself.
No, I understand that. Lieutenant. How do we help you?
He gives you his card.
Mm.
Keep me informed. And call for help.
You mind if we keep that little book with this little cipher in it and try to see if we can translate that? Or would you rather have one of your boys do that? I think there might be some answers in that book that Smalls found in this old bookcase or old desk.
Bring that book to me in a few days.
All right, I could do that. I could do that.
thank you for your trust, Lieutenant.
It's not trust, Mr. Smalls. It's faith. He puts on his hat, heads toward the stairwell. I don't have trust in anything anymore.
My grandmother always used to tell me there, Lieutenant.
Yeah. Did you listen to her?
I did. She always used to tell me that faith plus evidence equals trust. Have a good night.
Then get me some evidence.
What you got? All right.
And you hear the door open and close. And with it, this session will close.
You hear that, Tommy? We're working for the cop.
And I think there must be an all-night diner open somewhere. This has been a lot to take in.
I promised the detective. We ate at the diner before you signed up. He fed me, and he said, let's go to see Smalls. I said, we're going to eat. Let's get ready. I hope you're still hungry. And man, all we had was some coffee. God, well,
Right, but now
I got to eat.
now, it's time for a proper meal. This is a lot to take in.
Yeah, Jesus, Lord of mercy, the picture. Oh,
No,
God.
great session. That was wonderful. That was great stuff.
It can be hard to remember the nuance from scattered sessions past.
Oh, God.
So feel free to go back and watch them. It's okay. If you can stand to watch yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've got everything. Is everything up like all the way?
No, there are. At this point in time, there are 4 sessions still in the editing queue. So
I have lots of notes. So yeah, it has been a while.
You haven't gone. The last one that's out with you guys in it, you have not yet gone to the Scott farm. So.
Right, yeah, because our session prior to this one was from. It's been like a month. It was like it was the 24th. So yes, yeah, it's just over a month. January 24th. So yeah, it's been a little while. Yeah, it gets, we went back and forth to the same damn places over and over and over again. One more horrible each time. It's like being in a freaking merry-go-round blender.
Right. And of course, part of this is just kind of trying to represent Washburn's methodology of being the detective. Tell me that part again.
Right.
Tell me that part again.
Yeah.
Tell me that part again.
Yeah.
It's like, as I think as a player, you start to think, what actually did happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, which is fine. That's
Yeah.
that helps. I mean, it's very much like real life. You don't remember. You have to sit there and think, especially if you revisit the same area over and over again in a short period of time. When did we do that? Was it that time or this time? That's normal. That doesn't.
I do have to go back. I want to go back and listen to the audio from our previous. I have not done that. So
if you haven't watched Brian Gregory's sessions, especially the last one that's up, I think it's session 9. Holy mac, because he goes to the scene of the massacre.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, and I tell you, it was just as freaky in a different way. Listening to his, introduction to that scene, and him talking, to Lieutenant Washburn and all that sort of stuff, as it was. It wasn't quite as freaky being there the first time, but it was still so impactful. It's like, holy mackerel.
So this is without giving away, not looking for any secrets or anything like that to be given away, because I don't want to spoil the fun. So this is another gamer player that is approaching the mystery. Like
yes.
It's almost
He's
like
He's treasury agent. Yeah, his session. A few of his sessions are up. They're awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can visually tell them apart. Your sessions have a session number, like session 1, or no, there's no session 1, but the session 2, session 3, session 4, and they're in a kind of a green color. It says session 3 in a greenish color, and then the ones involving Agent Thornton, from the Bureau of Prohibition, have a yellow color. So session 5, session 7 and session 9, something like that.
Is it okay
so far,
to
he seems
listen to those too? Is it? I don't want to learn stuff that I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, there's nothing in his sessions now that you haven't already experienced first. He started a little bit behind you in time,
Okay.
right? And he almost caught up to you at the point of
Right.
the massacre, but now you're a little bit ahead again,
Yeah,
already in his future.
Will he be joining us like in our group? Like will it be like is he replaying what we've already done, or is he part of the same?
He's
He's in the
tangentially.
same city, same timeline, totally different and he's got the same freedoms that you do. So he wound up at the massacre, but investigating something other.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah. Right now, he would tell you that an elephant is like a kite, and we would tell you that an elephant is like a rope. Where the blind men like at different areas of the
Okay.
elephant. Just yeah,
All
so
right.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Anthony's been good. Like you can ask him if Anthony puts another one up. I've asked him like, hey, is it okay to watch that one yet? He's like, okay, hold off.
Yeah.
Or now
There's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that
I don't want to learn something I'm not supposed to.
there's a lot of stuff that Brian can't learn
right.
from yours, like your different research uh, episodes and things like that. But he's been able to watch because he's gotten reports about who was at the massacre, right? So then I said, okay, you can watch the first one, the second one, and the third one. So that's Ivan alone, then Ivan and Joe, and then the three of you together. So we got a sense of these.
It feels so bad. Like Joe's just not. Callum's not here to defend himself. I'm like, okay, this is the guy's name. You know, and I thought about that at that point. Like, Terrence is just so frustrated. It's like, okay, fine. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Just do me a favor. Don't interrupt me. And then, let's see if you're, if you put me in this asylum right at the end or whatnot. But
So if you do go back and you watch from the beginning, right? You've heard Ivan tell you the story about what happened. Well, you can go back and listen to the truth of it and compare your memory of what he told you with what actually
Right.
happened and then how they got involved in the warehouse attack and
Right.
then how they come to your door. And so you guys are free to watch everything from session 1 up to session 9. And go ahead, enjoy.
Excellent. That'll make for some great listening on my car rides to work. I have about a 40 to 45-minute car
oh
ride
yeah,
to
you'll
work every
you'll
day.
like you'll like the ones with
So,
Brian Gregory. He's very very descriptive. So it's I think, and actually my girlfriend even said, it's really entertaining listening to those because you can really see everything because between Anthony and Brian, like nothing is left to the imagination. You see, what his fedora is and like the angle of Agent Thornton's fedora and everything and where his guns are and and what he's thinking. So it's different. It's different than how I play, but it's awesome. It's quite entertaining to listen to his sessions.
that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. I enjoy, I haven't heard ours, but meaning this sequence, but I do enjoy listening to a good actual play. I suppose my definition of a good actual play might be different than somebody else's definition, but I really like a good actual play. It's like the old time radio dramas, it really I really like, yeah, you can imagine certain things. I like, well, of course I like the style that we play in. I've shied away from a lot of actual plays because um they almost like I've heard again, I may be talking smack about stuff I don't really know about. Like you call me out if this is like you don't know what you're talking about.
Hey,
I,
we're old men. We can
I,
talk smack about stuff we don't know about. It's
well,
okay.
I've heard criticisms of some game groups, like the semi-pro game groups, that they're almost like a troupe of actors, and they're sort of playing a game but not playing the game. Like they're not really using. A lot of times, I'll listen to actual plays to learn the rules of a new game, or I'll enjoy because I want to hear the storyline. But I guess there's groups, and again, I'm calling out like different groups like Critical Role and some of these that people have criticized for being like more like a troupe of actors that kind of use a game to springboard into full-blown acting mode versus in the game Is
It
almost
can be. It can be. I mean, they're doing it for an audience. It's a totally different medium
yeah.
at that point. So it's different than what we're doing here.
Right.
I've read people
There's a
that
slider, right?
Right.
yeah, like people I've read and again, I may be being very unfair to Critical Role if anybody ever listens, if any of that crew ever hears this or whatever.
They're probably more entertaining than we are, but who
I don't
cares?
mean to yeah, I don't mean to
Whatever.
malign them or anything or groups like theirs, but some of the stuff I've read is like, gee, I want to get into D&D or whatever because I heard this group online, but now I'm finding that it's not much like that. It's not whereas I feel like we're really digging into the game, the mystery. I feel like the rules are there. We're not it's not a crunch fest, it certainly isn't. But I feel like we're really
I had to look up listen, man.
you get to what?
I had to look up listen.
Oh,
It was a crime.
well,
Go on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
no,
to interrupt.
that's all right. I'm enjoying our style of play, and I'm really appreciating it, I guess is what I should, without talking smack about. I shouldn't denigrate anybody else's
Right.
artistic efforts.
There are a lot of opinions online, and
Something for everybody.
when we develop telepathy and understand their exact intentions and get in behind the cameras and see how if they did or did not redo scenes or if they did or did not have a script,
Yeah,
but
right.
but
It depends on how people play too, because like I always think to myself, I'm probably fairly boring because I'm imagining all kinds of stuff in my head. Like I'm imagining what the scene in the diner was like with the Lieutenant Washburn, but I'm not saying everything I'm seeing, but I'm seeing it in my head. Whereas you and the other Brian are a lot more descriptive, and so you guys are probably more entertaining to listen to than me. But whatever.
No, I wouldn't say that.
It's, but I know I think because I'm like living in the character's headspace when things are firing on all cylinders, I'm in the zone. I'm not I'm not acting, so to speak, but I'm in his headspace, so I act like him, or who I kind of like, who Terrence McSweeney has kind of become, and so maybe that's entertaining. Maybe
I find you very entertaining. I enjoy.
I'm a laugh riot.
No, I enjoy your portrayal of Terrence. I find him to be a very believable character. I find him to be very
It's amazing he's not dead yet.
well.
not for lack of trying.
Not from lack of trying. What were you going to say, Anthony? You were going to say something really.
I was going to say that yeah, I'm intentionally trying to minimize the intrusion of the system very explicitly. Like I could have been asking you to make lots of rolls all the way through, and then we would see what they are. But instead, we're looking at it like in this situation, with no time pressure, with no real stakes on the line. We're taking these characters as competent characters, and so I've got them here. I take a look at your characters, and I decide, is this a normal situation? If it's a normal situation to use this skill, I'm not going to ask for a roll. Whereas there are certain moments, like in this session, for example, where I have to ask for a roll because it's an unusual situation or it's an unlikely result, and so we'll roll and we'll see the competence of the character come out in that way.
And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. That's because I feel like it's really the for me, I love that because we can get into the story, we can get into the characters. The system does what it needs to do when it needs to do it. When you deem that it needs to be there, it's there, but it's not obtrusive. It's not calling attention to itself. And I really do appreciate.
Yeah, and if you watch our actual plays, Anthony is sophisticated enough in his video production as opposed to me, where there's like a little ding, there's a little sound that shows up, and you can see, he'll say, well, in this case, we're just the character's competent, and so they were able to do this particular thing. So it's not.
Right, so if you do listen to the series in your car, you're going to be hearing this deep ship's horn.
Yeah, that's what
in the background, just like it's ambient sound. and that's an audio cue that something visual has appeared on the screen to explain a historical fact or a role that was waived or the effect of a role that took place, or there's rules items salted throughout the video for
Excellent.
people who want to kind of understand my driving.
Yeah, no,
Right.
that's cool.
How much sand did we lose, by the way? Was that a 2?
Two.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
goody.
all right.
Being pulled in the picture was only a
Scratch that
2.
off
My
there.
God.
Well,
Ah.
it was a photograph, I suppose. So we're being reminded of all the horribleness, but there
It
is
was
a little
pulling
bit
me
of
in, man. It
we
was
can
pulling me
put
in.
some we can there's it is it's horrible but it's sort of there's a little bit of at least we can flip it over again. We can kind of we know it's there, but we have a little bit of agency in the sense of we can choose to flip it over. It's so there's a little bit of a distance, I'm thinking.
Does your aunt have any
Psychological.
more of this, Smalls? Yeah. Can we go to your aunt's house?
Yeah, my aunt, that's right.
Right, Washburn goes home and calls the calls the Prohibition Bureau, and they pick up your aunt.
Yeah, that's like, well, yeah. I mean,
Right.
at that point, after the picture, I'm like, go ahead, arrest me. You gonna arrest me for this, pal? Anyhow.
I have to go. I'm sorry, but
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem.
Well,
thanks a lot
thanks.
for playing,
Thanks.
gents.
Thanks
Oh,
for a
thanks a lot.
great. Thanks for a great game. Great stuff.
Glad you liked it. You guys are certainly bringing the city of Boston to life for me. And
The beans, the brown bread and the beans. Oh, that was awesome.
oh, one thing I forgot. You have been asking a couple of times about the date, right? And I've been choosing not to tell you the date because the characters can't be certain.
Right.
I mean, I'm in this mode. I'm a little bit of an unreliable narrator. There's the
Right.
day that you think it is versus the day
Right.
that it actually is.
Oh yeah, and that's why I was kind of like unless the lieutenant was going to volunteer a date, I wasn't really going to ask you. I'm literally thinking out loud like, what day is it anyway?
Right. But you'll
Because,
you'll get a hint about the date
yeah,
if you watch the series. There's
Yeah.
an audio clue about the date in one of the sessions.
yeah, excellent. All right, perfect.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Take it easy, man.
Gentlemen,
Thanks a lot.
have a good day.
And now a rare deleted scene from Turn of a New Leaf. Pretty worn looking automobile to drive you to Newbury Street.
Fantastic.
And at this point, we will be joined by Brian Courtemanche in the role of Alfred Smalls.
Hey guys, how are you?
All right,
Good
small.
to see you. Yeah.
Is it just me, or can you hear Brian?
I can.
Oh, okay, I have to adjust my audio.
All right.
Talk amongst yourselves.
How you doing, Ivan?
I'm doing wonderful. I just, I'll let Smalls know, but I had a delightful conversation with Lieutenant Washburn.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I'm just trying to remember what we did last time. It's been like a month, so that's a while.
Yeah, we were at the farm.
That's right. We were at the farm. We were showing
detectives,
Billy
all the good stuff.
right. We were showing him all the stuff down in the basement, and
I got arrested, and you
did you
it.
get we got arrested?
No, you didn't. I got arrested.
What did you do? How did you threaten him with a good time, or what happened?
No, I just was a little apparently I was a little too flippant with the good officer.
All right, so he's taking you downtown for more intense questioning about what happened at the farm. Is that what's going on?
Well, you'll find out. But yeah, essentially, you and O'Riordan were deemed to be fit to leave for the time being, whereas I was not.
Right. Okay. So we were cut loose. Like I'm back at my shop kind of thing. And And but you're with Lieutenant Washburn. Okay.
I believe you and Mr. O'Riordan ended back up at Newberry Street.
Okay.
And,
So we're right.
and you missed a hell of a time sitting at the farm in the police car for hours and hours and hours because I wasn't a priority. So you probably had a better time of it than I did. Well, I got what I deserved.
So what's the I don't know if we're supposed to talk out of character. Like what do you want to do as Terrence, Ivan? Like what's our next move? Like we've gone through this horrible ordeal at the farmhouse. What's the I want to make sure that I'm that Alfred is sort of moving in the right direction.
Listen, I'm
So-
just trying to stay out of jail, man.
Well,
I'm just trying. How was
got
our audio issue, Anthony? Are we good, bad, not so good?
I don't know. Can you hear you? Can you hear me?
He may not be able to hear
Okay.
anything.
Yeah, I haven't been able to hear anything for all of that conversation. But
Oh
Okay.
dear.
We were talking about how awesome you are, dude.
Yep. And how wonderfully everything's going to go the way of Terrence MacSweeney and
Yeah, but no, yeah.
Alfred.
To answer your question, like no actual real intention at this particular point. Literally, it was just a matter of like, um, I believe it's been several hours since we were together, not in a day, but several hours because it's taken me quite some time. But I'm sure the keeper will let you know precisely.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they were probably singing your praises at the police station. It's just been one big accolade, parade of accolades.
Just stop talking, Small. It wasn't like that.
I'm sure your back must be sore from all the back slaps and attaboys you were getting down at the station. So
something like that. Okay.
Like that, yeah.